Hello, listeners, and welcome to Chapter 81 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is fanboy Clay. Clay, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good, I stuffed my face full of pizza watching Daredevil right before we jumped on here.
What
Uh,
season?
First season.
Ooh,
I'm
nice,
I'm
nice.
rewatching the entire thing for no particular reason whatsoever. Just thought, might as well. But doing that and getting ready for the big move. We decided to not renew our lease here at my apartment, and we're moving into a new place, and we already found one, and so we are moving in 2 months. It is
Oh wow,
absolutely
that
insane.
that listeners, it literally took 3 days from the last time we recorded together, and when I was informed that he was thinking about getting a new place to finding it, bravo, sir. That's
Yeah, we well, the one thing that helped us out was that my boss and her roommate, who are basically my only coworkers, live in the same apartment complex that I'm going to be moving into.
that's really
And
great.
we're all really close. We're all around the same age. We all hang out. They were the friends that I went to the alcohol only friendsgiving with, and they're like, "Hey, there's an apartment that's vacant here," and I was like, "Cool, I'm getting it." And
Awesome.
it took like less than an hour for Abby to like look at it and to say yes. So I was like, "Sweet, that's it. We're good. Gonna box all of this stuff up next month." And we're out of here. So
Nice. That's
February may be a
fantastic.
little weird as far as my scheduling goes. So hopefully I can stick with the monstrous schedule that I already have.
Is it when you have 75,000 podcasts every week? It's kind of tough to balance that doing anything else. We got some fun stuff to talk about this week. We got The Flash Part 3 for Armageddon. We have Peacemaker trailer. We have some Batman, the animated series, audio content, audio drama content, which,
Super exciting.
that came out of left field for me. Wasn't expecting it. So that'll be interesting to talk about. And a couple other obvious news tidbits. But before we do all that, listeners, gonna get the network plugs out of the way. See if I remember them and don't just spit out stuff I've been studying for the past couple of days. But we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with podcasts, sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week. On Mondays, it's World's Finest True Believers with Chris Belga. That's where Chris and a guest take a look at the comic of the guest's choice. They have a new episode out this week where Chris is joined by Greg. I still haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, but they're talking about Doomsday Clock, if I'm not correct, right?
Yes, they are talking about
Yeah,
Doomsday Clock. Yeah.
which is a comic I really enjoyed, but minus the delays. I didn't get in at the beginning, but I was in enough that I was waiting for the last few issues that it was a little
Yeah, I
frustrating.
was I was working at my local comic book shop when that came out. So I was there for every aching moment and every customer coming in. Hey, is it out yet? Hey, is it out yet? Hey, how long is this delay going to last?
You're like, thanks,
Hey, I'm
Jeff.
going to give up on this book. Hey, I want to get back on this book, Yeah. It
Yes.
it was a mess, but it's
So
still good.
I'm really looking forward to listening to that. And that rotates bi-weekly with Clay's show Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest hosts Jake, Tony, and Joe, where they take a look at anything and everything Power Rangers. They have finally announced that Netflix has everything and they're going to actually do stuff with this, Clay. Actually do stuff with this. There's a great episode out with Clay talking about that. So check that out. That was dropped last week. New episode next week, of course. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. On Wednesdays is superhero discussions. Right now, we took a break last week from Young Justice to talk about He-Man and Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Did you just say we took a break from Injustice?
No, from Young Justice.
Okay, I was like, we never talked about Injustice,
No,
but
no, you got skate free. I had to do that one on my own. No, Joe joined me for that one. Unfortunately, I think Joe was paying me back for making me watch Flash Gordon, but I don't even think he deserves that. Yeah, so that show drops Wednesdays, but we were focusing. We took a little break from Young Justice to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 2. Clay and Joe joined me for that, but myself and Clay are back to talk about Young Justice this week. We have 2 episodes, ending of one story arc and start of another, so check that out. It drops on Wednesday. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Clay and Katie, where they took a look at anything and everything Star Wars. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. They got Marvel covered for you guys. Spider-Man No Way Home coming. Like, I can't wait. I don't know
I'm
if they've
getting more
announced.
excited, man.
I
I'm
don't
getting
know if
more
they've
and more
announced
excited.
who's going to be on the panel yet. So I'm just not going to say anything until that happens. If anyone, like, if I may know the panel, so I got to shut up. I don't want to let anybody's name slip out. So yeah, that'll be exciting. I can't wait for that movie, Clay. Like, I didn't think that there would be a chance for a movie to top Zack Snyder's Justice League comic book wise for me this year, but I honestly really think that No Way Home's going to do it for me.
I am like I'm almost not even like, it almost feels like it's not real, you know, because of how many rumors of this movie was going to be crazy and stuff, and the fact that, you know, other Spider-Man may or may not be in it. Uh, I mean, and freaking Feige going all out and just saying, yeah, maybe there is going to be somebody in red in another part of the MCU, maybe not, you know. I just feel like Kevin Feige's gotten beaten down with leaks and stuff, so he's finally just like, you know what? I'm just opening the floodgates,
No,
letting everything known.
I think he actually is like, if I open my mouth and talk unfiltered for 2 minutes, it blow your geek mind. Honestly, the stuff that you got planned in the back burner definitely would blow our socks off. But yeah, it's exciting times. We don't want to talk too much about Marvel, obviously, because we're DC Alliance here. But yeah, check those guys out. On Saturdays is a walk through the multiverse. That's Joe's show where he takes a look at everything that isn't Star Wars, Marvel, or DC. So check him out. That's bi-weekly. And on Sundays is Slice of Film, where Katie and a guest takes a look at a movie of the guest choice or a new movie that's out in theaters now. Uh, Katie did Ghostbusters with you guys recently. I haven't watched that movie yet. That's something I need to knock off my bucket list. That'll happen in after December 17th. But yeah, that's all the shows. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Marvel Alliance goes live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays. Also, all three of those shows have their own podcast feed. Just check out Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you want only Marvel, DC, or Star Wars content. But if you want all the content, including superhero discussions, World's Finest True Believers, Ranger Alliance, a walk through the multiverse, Slice of Film, and others, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network on your podcast app of choice. Also, if you can take 60 seconds to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, that would be greatly appreciated. But even so, we thank anyone that shares the show in the chat, likes any post that we make. Is all greatly appreciated. We also have a Patreon account, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically your tip jar. You like what we're doing, you want to help us out any way you can. And your $5 tier is where you get your extras, your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Whew. That is all.
That is everything.
All.
So where do we want to go from here, Travis? We want to go a little bit of a Peacemaker?
Yes, because I have some thoughts about the Flash. I'm still trying to formulate them in my head. Because while there was, I will hold it. I'm zipping it and saving it for the Flash. You're right, though. Let's talk about Clay. We got a trailer. We got a trailer for a new show, and I am meh on the show. Like, okay, it looks visually, it looks great. Like, it looks like a movie, but
it is crazy to think how we as nerds, we as geeks, what other terminology do you want to put to the we as fans can watch something? Because I have seen so many people that were like, as soon as this show was announced, were like, yes, I enjoyed what John Cena did to the character in Suicide Squad. Let's bring it on. Let's do it. And then with every single trailer, that hype has gone down and down and down. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing as far as like, what am I trying to say here? For me personally, I will say this. I have not seen this trailer. And the reason why, I saw that look. The reason why is I saw a still of the trailer, which is, I mean, I understand. I should watch things in context and
Oh
everything
my
else.
god, I know what you're gonna say now.
What?
You saw a still of the explosion when they were jumping from it, and
Yes, I saw the explosion. I saw the explosion still, and I'm like, I I love James Gunn. I love his humor. I appreciate John Cena getting into the superhero scene, but this I don't know.
you're a little hoity-toity sometimes, aren't you?
It, I mean, I can't deny it. No, I can't. Um, I don't know, man.
2 minutes and 59 seconds of awesomeness, and there's 5 second I'm just saying, I don't know if you think that, but I'm just saying, like, there's 2minutes and 59 seconds of other content, and then a 5 second explosion at the end.
That's all I saw. I
I
didn't see
know.
anything else. I just saw
No,
the
but it made you
explosion, and I'm
not.
just like, this looks really silly. And I understand that is what James Gunn does best when it comes to these properties. He does the same thing for Guardians of the Galaxy on a lower scale because it's Disney and it's Marvel. I understand that. And they're letting him cut loose here on HBO Max and with Peacekeeper. Like, I understand that. Or Peacemaker. Is
Yeah,
it Peacemaker? Maker? Peace.
Peacemaker.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why I said Peacekeeper. Been playing too much Apex apparently. But I'm gonna give this a. We are gonna talk about it. So Frank says here, Peacemaker seems like it's gonna have some dark elements to it. I am going to watch the show. We are going to watch the show. I do think that we will inevitably talk about the show here on the podcast. Even though our brothers over there at Marvel Alliance said, "Hey, we're not obligating you to review this show," because if it's off of their recommendation, we know how the last recommendation went.
It
Um,
was more of a challenge. I think it was a challenge to punish us, and we kind of accepted it stupidly, thinking that maybe the season will be good and the finale will be bad and they'll have to suffer through it. But boy, were we wrong. I think here, Clay, the thing for us is this: we'll have 2 weeks of this show, and then we can make a decision if we're going to continue it. Because on the 14th of January, Superman and Lois comes back, season two.
ooh,
So we
that
will
is
be
true.
obviously covering that every week now. That we're
Yes.
so but it's still, I'm not sure how this is going to go. We'll actually watch this now, listeners. I put the captions on, but I'll take off the volume so that we'll watch this with Clay for the first time. As podcast listeners, we'll just talk about it as we're watching it. Uh, just share my screen here.
I like how it looks.
Visually, it looks like a movie, which is something I'm impressed about. And there's a couple things in here with him seems to be changing of his, uh, maybe growing as a character
Yeah.
comparative to what he used to be. But there is some good. There's some stuff that might not work for me with the eagle that I don't know, but he does look. He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I'm impressed with how good it looks, and it'd be nice to dive into the Peacemaker's father. So, what do you think? What do you think about obviously Terminator? Uh,
Yeah.
It'll-
I
I, I'm interested about this.
I'm interested, like, again, I'm okay if it has a great story.
Yeah.
Um I am not somebody who's just like, "Oh yeah, superheroes, everything's great." Like, for me, I appreciate story. And I'm a stickler for story when it
Well,
comes to these
Clay, back like
characters.
15, 20 years ago, that's what it was like. Oh, superhero, yes, because we didn't get any of it. Now, with how much we have, you have the right to. Well, you always had the right to want a good story, but you're less forgiving now than what we were. Let's say with Smallville, for example, or uh, like any Just League Unlimited, any of those things compared to
True,
Young
true.
Justice. So
And for me, I mean, we were kind of joking around with it when this trailer dropped, but like most of the GUA knows how I feel when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to how particular I am, even with comics, I can read 1 to 2 pages and I know whether I'm going to finish that comic or not. This, I'm going to know 30 minutes into the show, hopefully not sooner to the point of like, oh crap, this is going to be a crap show. But I'm going to know 30 minutes into the first episode hey, okay, I'm gonna finish the show.
Well, you're gonna know, like, do I want to know what's gonna happen at the end, or you even looked at time, you're like, oh man, those are great episodes. Those are great episodes when you look at time and you're disappointed that you only have 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left. So I can understand that after 40-minute episodes. Uh, I'm really interested in seeing their back and forth here because like I'd like to know the man that made Peacemaker
Mhm.
because of what we've seen in Suicide Squad. Also, I will say to your point about story, I don't want to like pause for a second on Vigilante, get a half decent look at him, but I don't want to throw like James Gunn is pretty good. Like he made us care about all those Guardians of the Galaxy members that I'm gonna be honest with you, I barely heard of before he put them in the movie. So it's not a comic went out and saw.
Yeah.
So like I will give him credit, and even in the Suicide Squad, he made me just almost all the characters I cared about. So I'm going to give him like a chance, but like you said, some of the stuff he can go on with some of his jokes when he's like given free reign. So I'm a little nervous about that.
Well, with Vigilante, what I've heard, and I don't know how much this trailer actually shows of him, but a lot of people have been taking the criticism of Vigilante being like a huge nerd and not the reiteration that we are used to in comics and TV. I'm okay with changing a character.
Same.
When it comes to adapting a character for your version of on screen or comic book, I'm okay if you change it, but it's the core character that I care about. So, Vigilante has been seen as one, a legit vigilante, two, an assassin. Like, is he as vigilante? Am I going to care about that? Or is James Gunn going to change this character so much that I care about this nerdy looking guy who plays vigilante? You
You
know?
know what I think, Clay. To be honest with you, I think you're going to do that because I think that he's Peacemaker is going to see that he doesn't need to be purely evil. Vigilante, he's going to look at Vigilante, who has a lot of the same things as him, uh, like a vigilante, a assassin, like just killing people with no remorse sometimes. So I think that maybe he will learn from Vigilante how to be a bit. Now, I can't say normal, but maybe a bit more adjusted because I know he wasn't raised the same, but you can look at him and say that regardless of how he was raised, he's being a bit lot more like well adjusted than I am. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to be completely off the wall. I don't know, but I think he's going to teach Peacemaker how to at least relate to other people and at least show other people a better side of himself than the douchey side all the
Yeah.
time. Or that's what I hope. And now that won't be your typical with your vigilante, but if you do it to service Peacemaker, but you can't really hurt vigilante character, even if you like Scarecrow, for example. Both you and I think Scarecrow has done absolutely ridiculous in Titans. But if he's put into the second movie of Matt Reeves' trilogy and he's like way was in comics and he's wearing masks and he's not talking about his mother and all that, we're going to be like, okay, yeah, that's all right. So that while that interpretation in Titans is not good, it won't affect the character going forward. Which is what same thing like Vigilante was in Arrow. I thought he was okay in Arrow, but I thought he was just rather boring. If you ask me, just one note kind of guy. So I'm hoping James Gunn gives him layers, which I think he will. But now we're getting this makes me worried because he's just basically making a joke, pretending who's the eagle and who's him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll with free reign. Maybe he might not make me care about him, but
I mean, again, we talk about how directors need to have like creative control, right? That's what we fought for when it came to Zack Snyder. To criticize it with James Gunn, I don't think is necessarily the right thing to do because it is, I feel like, the right way to go.
oh, I want to say I'm not criticizing too because it's just the jokes that might not work for me, and that's okay. It's just that's his choice, and I'm fine with that. Same thing in Suicide Squad. Some of the jokes didn't work for me, but overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm okay with jokes not hitting,
Yeah.
and that's basically my only problem with James Gunn's films for me is that sometimes he has too many jokes in there that don't hit for me. and it kind of brings that into the movie. But overall, in his storytelling skills, I think he's top notch. So I'm all for this. But like I said, I don't know, because the first Guardians, I don't even know if there was a joke that missed for me. But the second one, there was a nice view. Same thing with Suicide Squad. So I don't know if when he doesn't have someone supervising him, he doesn't put in a few misses for me personally. And that's some other person that could all hit. Like you said, you don't want to criticize him. You want him to have free reign, which we both do. I
Yeah.
just want to like make a note of his personal directing style. Sometimes just a little bit of it doesn't work for me.
Makes sense.
But this is a big point I wanted to point out for you, because right here, the guy who's basically in charge of the program trying to make Peacemaker do things wants him to kill this family, the guy and his wife and kids.
And he seemingly doesn't do it.
He doesn't do it, which first of all shows immense growth from Suicide Squad, because he said that he didn't care how many men, women, and children he had to do to get peace. But right here, instead of being a blind instrument and just doing whatever the guy says, he's asking, especially after what happened with Amanda Waller, because this happens after that. That would make me think about that, because of what what Rick Flag said to him about killing kids and stuff like that. I really think that if you play that as that affected him, if he even talks about that during the show, I think that'll go a long way for me being like, okay, I can believe him not like changing as a character.
I would hope that it does, because that is something I would be looking for, the connective tissue from Suicide Squad to this. We all sit, and you can still play the game of like, oh, is it really a sequel series? Or is a lot of this flashbacks? Well, we know that this is going to be a sequel series because of the connective tissue with him and the team that he's along with. There could be flashbacks in this to show him growing as that character of Peacemaker, but I want to see the connective tissue between the two.
Yeah, agreed. And you can see him struggling with that in here after the guy told him, like, when he questioned him after mission, saying, I just need someone to be a crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And he's clearly not as okay with this as he was. And that makes sense after, like you said, this is following the events of Suicide Squad. I just think the action is going to be top notch in this, because John Cena can definitely hold his own doing stunts. And that looks like a flashback, actually.
I was going to say probably a PTSD moment, probably.
Yeah. See, this is a joke that doesn't really work for me. Talking about he's like, I'm a grower, not a shower. Like, I'm somebody that people don't like first, but then really start to grow to like. See, this is another point about why I think Vigilante is going to have a positive effect. He's actually giving him advice, trying to say, like, go forward, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know this superhero.
Did he have red eyes?
Clay. Well, he has a red thing coming in. I don't know. I'm assuming maybe tech, or allows him to communicate, give him tech. But there's a villain here, Al Green, that I've never seen before.
The suit kind of looks very similar to Nathan Fillion's character in
TDK.
Yeah.
You are right a little bit,
but I don't know exactly who that will be. I feel like they've already said like the characters, but I can't remember off the top of my head, to be completely honest.
So Peacemaker's fighting him in a pretty cool scene. And I think, like I said, this is going to be a big scale mission, and I'm just really curious how this is going to affect Peacemaker, and if all these characters are going to make it alive. I assume Peacemaker will, because they probably want to do a second season, but if it's successful.
I still think this will be a somewhat of a recruitment show as well. Like, because I can see a vigilante joining the Suicide Squad.
Oh, definitely. You can see at the end of this movie both of them being captured, or even Peacemaker screwing over Vigilante and making him get caught and going on. But this is a fun little end scene here where he makes his own bomb to kill all kinds of people, and then we get what you're referencing there. So maybe it's just because
silly.
it's super, but it could be because it's super slow motion shot, Clay. and maybe that's why it looks the way it is. So I don't
Well,
like I
like
said.
his face or both of their faces kind of look just silly about how big they get. I don't know if it's the camera angle
Might not be
or the slow
finished yet
mo
either,
or
right?
whatever.
The editing might
Yeah,
not be finished yet. We don't want we until we watch it anyway. I just
looks very Looney Tunes.
yeah, but like I said, it could be a slow motion. If you're trying to do a screen grab of a slow motion shot, it might not look as appealing as normal if it's not fully edited. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm going to reserve it until we actually see it. But I did see like it did not look like like how visually beautiful the rest of the film did. I will agree with you there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but
that was Peacemaker, Clay. Are you? Well, we will be reviewing that in the new year with the first episode. So are you
I think
excited about that?
they announce what day it's coming out.
Pretty sure like the first week of January when we're back, we'll be talking about
Really?
it. Yeah.
Because I think I want to say their stuff drops on Thursdays, so it might be the
Sorry,
6th.
January 13th is
Yeah,
when it will.
13th. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be the week after.
Yeah.
So the week after that is when we will be talking about it on January 17th. So I mean, we're gonna watch it, so we'll see how it goes. Before we jump into our next topic, we'll do one ad break real quick, and
Yeah.
then we'll stick to the HBO Max realm of things. But let's go ahead and take our very first ad break. Ad break. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But remember, guys, we do not choose the ads. We do not choose how many times they repeat or the volume. So 3 count, and then we will be right back. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And we are back. So we got a first look at Brendan Fraser because he reminds people all the time it's not Fraser, it's Fraser. We got a first look at Firefly the other day with the directors of Batgirl wishing him a happy
Okay.
birthday.
Oh, I thought first I was like, did we just get something released for his actual look of Firefly? While you were talking about that first,
People said first look,
okay,
but
that
but he is not Firefly there. He is the character of who Firefly is. um Looks like he's in it legit looks like a very dark burnt room, to be completely honest. um but he was there. The entire cast and crew looks like they wished him a happy birthday. He kind of seemed humbly annoyed. uh he he Brendan doesn't look like the kind of guy that likes a whole bunch of attention on him. um Considering his past, I could see why. But he also knows that he has gotten a huge following in the past few years, and his old following coming back because they all just know and love him. So I did enjoy this small little, like, what was it, like a minute video, nothing too big. But we also got this little I can never remember what they are. The little clapper things, the scene. I can't
scene
remember.
card I called him, but
Okay.
yeah, but what it really shows is the Batgirl symbol, and there's also a Officer Barbara Gordon nameplate there as
How
well.
do you feel about that?
Awesome, because it gives her more. It makes me think she can solve crimes in that more if she's actually been there as a detective, working there as an officer, like being like getting some experience that way.
It just reminds me of Titans, so I don't like it.
Oh no, it's she's not Commissioner Gordon. She's
No,
Barbara
she's
Gordon.
not. But it is fun to see this picture. If you look at it, it looks like maybe quote unquote a Christmas themed movie, because we do have the Christmas streamers on the corner. Um,
Or they could
we
just be getting into the holiday spirit
They may
there
be getting
in
into
their
the holiday
production
spirit.
side.
It is December. But we see an old, like, 80s computer in the background. Um, Now, one thing I noticed that I don't think anybody has said anything yet, on the other side of this table, there is a folded up wheelchair. The two little black bars that we see on the other side, that is what it looks like when you fold a wheelchair and sit it.
Uh,
That's what it looks like. And I'm going to I'm not saying that Killing Joke has already been a thing, but if it's in the same universe of a Ben Affleck's Batman, then we could see, like, maybe, I don't know, just throwing it out there, or it just may be an Easter egg of like, hey, look, Barbara Gordon had a wheelchair at one point. There it is. I noticed it immediately when I was looking at this picture. Um, so
that could, if I'm not sure, it very well could be because all this in the back could be part of a set, or I see film canisters up in the background and all that. But maybe, like I said, this is her
well, and
doing.
that's the great thing about Gotham that we a lot of people always talk about. Gotham is always seen as, what's the word, ageless,
Not always. Some
uh, even the only one that hasn't been ageless is Batman Beyond. I feel like
BVS.
uh,
Uh,
we didn't see enough of Gotham
I
to
just
really.
don't. I don't think we can confer that from this picture at all because I'm not sure. This could be on. This could be the back of the set, or this could be the other side of it. I'm not sure. Uh,
Why would they
but
put a Officer Barbara Gordon s- name tag on just like a random
no, I'm just
table?
saying they could be facing the other way when they're filming. I'm not sure if that's because of film canisters. I'm not sure if that's actually like stuff in storage behind there, or if this is part of the set and Barbara Gordon's trying to like computerize all these actual files or something. That's part of her job right now uh, at this point in the movie. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I know the after Barbara Gordon is something we can confer, but I don't know about the other stuff. But I don't know if this is the set or if this is the other side of it. I'm just not
I would
sure.
assume it's the set because I just think it would be weird if they're just like, "Hey, there's a table over there. Let's take this picture."
Well,
Wow.
no, they're taking the picture to show that scene card. That's what they're taking the picture for. They're not trying to like show the other things are just like that's not what they're focusing on. So I'm not
But that's
sure.
but they could have just taken a picture of the SIM card. Like they wouldn't have
Who's to
made.
say this is not what they're doing? Maybe that's just stuff on the table. I don't know if this is actual set. That could just be stuff on a table.
That's not how these things work.
Clay, you just said they could be just taking a picture of the scene card.
No, I said that is the set.
We don't. I don't know that for sure if that's part of the set because like when they shoot, they could just have a square up and have the set on there, and they're looking at it, and this is the background of it. I'm not sure from that if that's the set or not. If it is, I guess it's a back room of the GCPD.
Historically speaking, whenever studios take pictures of these scene cards showing that they have started filming, they are either on location or on set.
Yeah, on location is the thing. It could clearly be on. I don't. I'm just saying I don't know enough from this to know like to say that's a wheelchair and other things that are going on there. I don't know like the code book. I don't know if that could be a thing for her
Well,
just being better at breaking codes and
I
studying.
feel like it would. I feel like the code breaking or a code book that is there is a tease to like, hey, she's smart. She's always looking at these kinds of things. There's small little Easter eggs in here.
And the yarn she likes to knit.
Yarn could be an idea of making her own costume. Uh, I don't see the title of the book that's right next to the yarn. Uh, but
I
there
gotta
could
look at
be a
these things a lot more because I didn't. I just the only thing I noticed was the after Barbara Gordon. I just went on. So, well, that's no different than the
that's
turkey. I just went out. I didn't notice the book in the corner. So,
well,
uh,
I mean, all I saw when there was a turkey was that there was a turkey. I didn't even know it was Zack Snyder, to be completely honest. It's Thanksgiving.
yeah. Well,
Everybody
I
has to
didn't. I
turkey.
didn't notice the book. So that was on me. So I'm clearly not looking. But I still don't know. Like, if you can say that's a wheelchair, and if that's going to be part of anything, that
Oh,
could just be
I'm not
another.
I'm not saying that it's going to be a part of the film, but I do think that because a wheelchair is a very big part of the character of Barbara Gordon and Batgirl and her history, that they probably wanted to throw it in there just to like get people to get excited and
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I thought you meant like
because
in the
there's
movie. I
no,
thought
no,
you
no.
meant just
I'm
in the
not.
movie.
I'm throwing shit out there at this
Okay.
point, but I'm just
Well, I
saying.
didn't know first because I thought you meant like this is on set this is in the scene. She
No,
might
no,
be in the
no, no.
wheelchair. I
I'm
don't know.
saying that this is probably the set piece, and then they're throwing other things in there for Easter eggs, getting people excited, things like that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But either way, this is technically our first official look at the Batgirl logo. That's
Yeah.
one thing that I noticed. We talked about it very briefly this weekend. Um, you can't really see the bat symbol if you zoom in on your phone or something. You see it a lot better. Um, I like the purple hue on it. I do like the idea of keeping the aesthetic of Batgirl purple. It's something that I've always loved about the character. Um, Makes me think that we are getting the Burnside suit though, if it's purple.
I think that was already kind of maybe hinted at. I'm not sure. We also got to look at the police department, GCPD, well, Gotham City Police Department emblem, which looked just like the one in The Flash.
Yes, this is of course being filmed in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can very well probably make a guess and say that this is probably, if not the same, as the Flash, keeping that all in continuity. So
Yeah, but yeah, it also, like I said, it may in continuity, it may keep it. They may make it more likely we see Ben Affleck in this film. Who knows? So
yeah,
and I don't even really want to talk about the other thing, which is the Rock's the cover, the NBA Street style cover of the Rock's
that's what I
article.
told you.
It,
So
it's dropping on the 9th, so we'll talk about that next week, listeners.
so hold on. I do want to say this. Travis sent this to me, and the first thing I said was, "Why does this look like a 50 Cent video game remake or an NBA Street video game cover?" All it says is Total Film, and of course, you see The Rock shrouded in his hood and his eyes glowing. That is like old school, early '90s, like NBA Street cover, and it's hilarious. But
yeah,
I still enjoy it.
I'm excited to see the film. He's been waiting for it for a while, so uh, can't wait for that. So Clay, the other thing that is in the title of the show, we got some news today that the '90s cast of Batman the Animated Series will reunite for an audio drama. What do you think about this news, Clay?
This news I am very, very, very excited for. This actually brings in a question via our co-host Joe on the GUA. Asks us, with the announcement of the cast of the Batman animated series returning for an audio drama, what storyline would you like them to do? And why is it the first 20 minutes of Batman the Killing Joke movie? Now, I will say this. I have not seen the Batman Killing Joke movie since it came out. So the
Don't
first
rewatch
20
it.
so the first 20 minutes I have no idea other than the fact that Batman and Batgirl were doing the dirty um on I think the GCPD roof.
Roof, yeah.
Yeah. On top of Daddy's
So
workplace. Whew.
so this is pretty cool. Alan Burnett is developing the project. He says it's a great script, and John Glover said the Riddler's back, and he's evolved in many ways. He understands. He's on the spectrum. Uh, that really excites me, to be honest with you, Clay. That Riddler's going to be back because, first of all, John Glover has an amazing voice, and he is the Riddler voice I hear when I read comics. So I'm excited. Uh, While it is unknown which cast members might return for the audio drama, surviving voice actors include Paul Williams, the Penguin, Richard Mole, Two-Face, David Warner, Ra's al Ghul, who was also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, if I'm not mistaken. Secret of News, I think he was a scientist. Uh, Diane Pershing, Poison Ivy, Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman, Ron Perlman as Clayface, Melissa Gilbert as Barbara Gordon, and Lauren Lister as Dick Grayson Nightwing. So there's a lot of people still left with the original cast, so not including obviously Kevin Conroy, but this is exciting. I'm a little hesitant because I didn't really enjoy that Batman Chronicle audio chronicles thing that you sent me. Can you break me down how it'll be different than that?
So here's the reason why I'm super excited about this. If you have ever went on DC Universe Infinite, because I know they're there, or gone to your local comic book shop, Batman the Animated Series has had continuations outside of the cartoon, outside of Batman the Animated Series. Um, Paul Dini has been very involved in the writing of those continuations, and recently, in 2020, in the beginning of the shutdown, there's actually a comic book called Batman: The Adventures Continues, Season 1. It starts off with the story of Batman versus Lex Luthor. Really, really fun story. It introduces Firefly into the continuity of the Batman the Animated Series. We see Deathstroke for the very first time in those stories as well. Catwoman makes a return. We see Azrael for the first time uh, using the Nightfall outfit, which is really, really cool. And then they went as far as to make a season 2 with the introduction to the Court of Owls as well. So they have been doing a lot with that series, and I do believe that they could still do those books into this audio drama. The reason why I say that is at the beginning of the shutdown, of course, we were all bored. We didn't know what to do. Actors and actresses, voice actors and voice actresses were, out of jobs currently. They didn't know what to do. Of course, they asked Kevin Conroy to do a narration of the first issue of that season 1, issue 1. And I do believe that's what sparked the idea to do this. I am 100% for it. Of course, I am going to school to eventually create audio dramas. That is my dream, and I am all for this. I am 100% for this. I'm loving it. Um, I really do hope that they go with the comic book series, just because I've been reading that every single time it comes out. Really, really good stuff.
I think that this will get me a lot better than the previous one that we talked about because, like I said before, with Riddler, same thing with Batman. When I read comics, or when I close my eyes thinking about Batman talking, like, I hear Kevin Conroy's
Kevin
voice.
Conroy.
So when he's talking about the things and they're talking about the audio drama, it'll be easier for me to put myself in, create a picture for myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And
So
one
I
thing
think
that I
this will
want
be
to
better.
say about the Radio Chronicles or Adventure Chronicles or Adventures, whatever it was called, WB was being stupid, thinking that that would give you more subscribers by putting an audio drama on HBO Max.
Kind of
Worst
defeats the
decision.
purpose.
It's the worst decision they could have ever made. I understand that people do audio dramas and they put it on YouTube, which is a visual medium, but there's podcasts on YouTube, and people have now acknowledged that, and people have used that. They listen to music on YouTube. People aren't going to HBO Max to listen to music. They're
No, they're
not
not.
listening to podcasts.
That's
They're
the
going
last
to
thing you would think, Clay, would be on
exactly.
HBO Max as an
They're going
audio
to HBO
drama.
Max to watch things. Now, if you are smart, which WB is not, because one of the biggest deals that WB and DC did in the very beginning of the pandemic, in the very beginning of the shutdown, is they made a contract and deal with Spotify. Why not do something with that? And finally, it looks like they are doing something with it. So, super excited about this. I too think of Kevin Conroy every single time that I read a comic. It is the voice of Batman. Um, so just glad that he's back. There was a picture I think that Chris shared in our GUA of Kevin Conroy saying, back in the studio, and it had him reading off a script on a screen. So really, really cool stuff.
One final point about that too: Danny Elfman is going to write the theme. So that's exciting stuff, Clay. You want to do the couple questions before we talk about the Flash? I have some thoughts, but I can't wait to talk about that.
Yes, let's go ahead and do. Oh well, I guess we technically answer Joe's question?
Yeah, we answered one of Joe's questions.
Well, Joe was so. What did I say? I didn't say. I mean, adaptation of the comic, but
He asked that in the chat, but he also replied to the post that you put out, and I will read both the questions on the post now, which are Joe's first one. No, yeah, he asked. Was it him or was that Travis Snell asked that in the chat?
Well, so the question that I would say, what story would I want them to do, is I want to hear uh, a Court of Owls story. That's what I want from inside the Batman the Animated Series world. Is what I want. I want them
And
to adapt.
I like the Dark Knight, like the Dark Knight trilogy, like not the Dark Knight trilogy, but the Dark Knight Returns.
Mhm.
I like that. There was another
okay.
one here. That would be mine. There was. Oh no, yeah, he just shared Frank's question. That's what.
Yeah,
That's what got me.
we will get to
asked,
Frank's question later. Before we jump into that question, though, there's a question from Snell.
Oh yeah.
So, there's not a whole lot of news on this, but it did spark a big conversation today on social media, on Twitter, of course. People talking about Patty Jenkins and her conversation of being in directing Wonder Woman 3. Snell actually messaged both me and Hines earlier today. He says, question for DCA: what's the percentage you have on Patty actually directing Wonder Woman 3? What is your opinion on this?
I'm of two minds. Really enjoyed Wonder Woman, the first one. Wonder Woman 84 was absolute dog trash. Like absolute dog poop. Trash. Just trash. Did not enjoy it. I was shocked at the difference from the first one to the second one. Actually, no, sorry. I enjoyed the Amazon Games competition, which they released before the movie came out. So
the first 3 minutes of the movie,
I got to watch that. So that there were some cool things, but I did not enjoy it at all. I think there's a lot of I don't know, a little bit of animosity between Patty Jenkins and the studio. Although I would argue that being on HBO Max made it pretty successful, because I don't know if this thing has nearly the legs of the first Wonder Woman. Although Venom 2 made so much money and Venom 1 made, I really don't know how to judge how movies are going to make it at box office anymore. To be honest with you, I have no idea. I thought I used to, but no. I don't know. With Rogue Squadron out of the way, I could see it. Although Gal Gadot's schedule is pretty full for the next year or two. So in that time, I could see Patty finding something and leaving the project. I'm going to go with 50%. 50-50 right now.
50-50. This kind of sparked a conversation between me and Snell when he asked it. I'm assuming he thinks that there's a chance that she will not direct it at all, which I do not believe there is a chance of that happening. So I'm going to say 99.9% Patty's going to direct it.
Question, did you enjoy Wonder Woman 84?
I enjoyed everything in the trailers.
Okay, that's all you needed to tell me.
The moments that were in the trailers that got me excited about the movie, I enjoyed, and then everything in between, I did not understand. Yeah. And I was a part of that panel. That was technically before I joined DC Alliance, but it was a movie that we saw.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do think that if Patty walks, Gal will walk as well. That's the reason why I said that. We know that they have a very strong relationship. Everything that went down with Justice League, Gal went straight to Patty, and then they went to WB and they took care of it together. That is not something that you just do willy nilly. They have a bond, they have a friendship, and I do think that if Patty leaves the project, Gal will too.
I don't think that. I don't see Gal leaving the cash cow of Wonder Woman. I don't. You don't really think someone's going to direct every film if you're a superhero of that film, unless you're one of those crazy Snyder fans that think you should direct every film. But even though I love all three of those, but I don't think I assume Gal like said to herself, "There's going to be a time where I'm going to be Wonder Woman, and Patty's not going to be directing." So I think it depends on how they part ways. If it's not a good way, I can maybe see what you're saying happen, because I do think Gal is really loyal to Patty. But I think if it was an amicable split and Patty goes to direct another film, I think Gal will stay.
Okay. But let's go ahead and answer Frank's question real quick.
Which is, what is the greatest comic book event of all time, tie-ins included?
And Frank, I just want to say this sparked a bit of a conversation in the GUA, which we always enjoy. Travis, do you have a answer?
Of course, I have the answer. The only answer that it could be the crossover event to basically start all crossover events, Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the repercussions was not seeing Barry Allen for not a year, not a couple years, a very long time, Clay, a very long time.
Oh yeah.
So I think that one, Death of Superman, was a little second for me. Like to be honest with you, it was one of those ones I can't justify as greatest comic book like run of all time, but like story of all time. But it had some really great tie-ins that really I really enjoyed.
I had to cross that one off my list, and I had to cross off Final Night off my list. And the reasons why is those two were very big into me getting into comics, and I'm just like, those are too personal to me. I don't want to say those are the greatest of all time. So I had to knock those off my list. And I wanted to say, oh shoot, what are we brought up Blackest Night, we brought up Identity Crisis, we brought up a whole bunch of other stuff in the conversation. Brent brought up the Sinestro Corps War, which is a great story. I had to agree with Chris though, and the answer for me would be Infinite Crisis.
Okay.
Infinite Crisis, written by Jeff Johns, was immaculate. It is really hard to beat. The story was just very solid. All of the tie-ins were legitimate tie-ins that felt like they weren't just a cash grab for, of course, DC Comics. They felt genuine. And then, of course, the introduction to the character of Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle was an Infinite Crisis as well. Infinite Crisis number 3. So I had to give it to that one. So
that's a good choice too. That gets a thumbs up for me. Okay, Clay, let's take our final ad break before we rip off the Band-Aid and talk about Flash. Listeners, like Clay said before, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. Giving you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be back shortly in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay, The Flash, Armageddon, Part 3. And what are your thoughts on this overall?
Cecile needs to die.
Little extreme. I did not enjoy her at all this episode. But
that's what I feel. Like everything she said, I'm just like so I know we were gonna just say high level thoughts, but I just want to rip the Band-Aid. I want to talk about this. There comes a time where Iris is like, maybe Barry is telling the truth. Maybe there is some truth in Joe not being dead. And then Cecile comes up in there and is like, are you kidding me? I'm his wife. I was his wife. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, Cecile, you had 2 episodes in season 1, and then we forgot about you until you were needed in season 3. I'm sorry. You are unimportant.
I'm like,
And the only way they had to make you relevant to the show is giving you superpowers.
and I'm like, Iris is his daughter. When it was just him and her for the longest time, like, what are you doing there?
Like, and then
Also,
she had
as
the
Clay, one other
audacity.
thing,
She
Clay,
had the
Clay, one other
audacity.
thing, Clay, before you can say that, she's there flipping out about this. Uh, she got powers randomly. All the shit that's been going on since season 4 when she was a like prominent member. You don't think Iris spent last season in the goddamn Mirrorverse or the season before that? And you don't think that maybe someone went back in time who's done it before, who basically created the Flash? That's how Barry even ended up this way, was to change his life. You tell me that, like,
Travis, Cecile had the audacity to say, "Oh, I know Barry better than anyone." I have not seen this show since season 4. I have missed 4 seasons. And I know 2 other characters that we saw for the entire episode that know Barry more than Cecile.
Iris and Caitlin.
Iris and Caitlin.
Actually, you can throw 3 in there because Killer Frost. You can throw Killer Frost in there to make a
We didn't see Killer
trifecta.
Frost this episode.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, it was the last episode. Yeah,
I am just saying.
you're not wrong, Clay. Is Cecile was really off for me. I guess another thing that wasn't good for me was the fact we'll talk about this. They couldn't find Barry bailed and went to the Hall of Justice. That was teased at the end of the last episode. And for the B plot of this episode, listeners, Team Flash doesn't know where Barry is. Like, he took off and they can't find him. Not the fact that Barry only owns 3 pieces of property in his name: Star Labs, his apartment with Iris, and Hall of Justice. Not mentioning the fact that Caitlin has been at the Hall of Justice at least twice. At least twice. At least 3 times if you count the hangar in the first season when she went there. Actually, a couple times, because she went there a couple times in season 1. So she's been to that hangar. She knows Barry owns the hangar. She was there and she said all that. She knows they met there to fight in the invasion crossover. So chances are Barry might have been there. That was very disappointing to me. Iris not knowing where Barry was at the start. She bailed on that mission of finding him to go off and do it her own way. But even that was like, I'm like, what are we doing here? You don't know. You should know, especially your name is on deed for a couple of these properties. Like, you're married. You own what he owns. So, I mean, you don't know about Hall of Justice. So that was a little frustrating for me that Team Flash spent all this episode trying to figure out where Barry was. Like, going through all these hoops and that when they didn't really need to. Actually, pick up the phone, call Cisco. He would have told you where the Hall of Justice was. That was something that's very frustrating. You could have had them figuring out something else. Despero's origins, way to stop Despero, send Despero back, any sort of sciencey thing in that episode, instead of having them try to figure out that Barry was in one of the 3 properties that he owns.
Oh yeah, and what was the other chick's name? The other psychic, whatever, the blonde woman.
Allegra.
Okay, yeah. Glad she's dead because I didn't know her and I didn't care about her. Like,
she didn't die.
She did.
You're talking about the one that is the journalist with Iris?
No, not her. The other one. The one that is teaming up with Cecile this entire episode.
Top. Okay, yeah. The villain. Top.
Her name's Top?
Yeah, like she spins like a top.
Jesus Christ. Didn't know that.
She was there in multiple seasons. I think her name's Top. I'm pretty sure.
Multiple seasons that I didn't see.
She has the actual name of Rosalind Dillon, but I think it's Top.
Okay. Yeah. Freaking Despero just bludgeoned her with a table. Or bludgeoned the table with her. Either one.
She's still alive. I thought that Cecile mentioned it at the end, like she's alive but barely, or something like that.
Oh, really? Crap.
Yeah. So she's not dead, but she actually say, Clay,
blood was spewing out of her head.
Clay, I'll actually say that when she was with Mirror Master when she was first introduced, she was actually a good character, and when she came back in the future, she wasn't bad either. Like teaming up with Mirror Master again. Uh,
Hmm.
she wasn't bad in her first couple, but I didn't enjoy this. Like I said, it just I was exhausted with this because I didn't think they needed to go through all these hoops to figure out that Barry's at the Hall of Justice.
It
Ultimately, they do though, and Despero realizes that at the same time. And while this is all going on, we'll get to the A plot now, the A storyline, which is Barry asking Jefferson to take away his powers because he's done the math, done the numbers, and know that Jefferson can cipher off the lightning and take away his powers.
and he is convinced that Despero's telling the truth. That
Yeah,
everything
and
that has been going wrong has gone wrong, and the best thing that they could do is take away his powers, and that is what the Injustice Protocol is.
yes, a protocol they developed after fighting Felix Faust, which is
Yes.
pointed out. I would have loved to see that, but obviously that wasn't going to happen there. But it's still cool that it's mentioned that the
I
Justice League
feel
is
like if
going
they
on
were still
adventures.
doing it, I feel like if they were still doing it, because they were doing these for quite a while, if they were still making comic book tie-ins for this show,
Oh, 100%,
it would have been a
100%.
comic book
Yeah, we
tie-in.
got a kind of a time for the Dark Archer in
Yeah.
Arrow, so we would have got one for this 100%. I still like it though. I like that they have an Injustice Protocol and Barry's calling in. I love how Jefferson doesn't really want to do it. I don't like how Barry kind of snaps and tries to fight him, trying to get him to do it, but it's still really cool, fun
Yeah,
scene.
it's like, hey, I'm
Visually, it
scared of
looks great.
I'm scared of being a villain, so I'm gonna act like a villain real quick. Like
It
it's
it's fun to see him go back and forth, but this is my problem right now. This is my gripe about this. While the dialogue's cool and all that, you can't have the Flash and Black Lightning team up to fight a few bad guys here. Maybe give us like a couple cool
no,
things.
you
Like
can't. Do you know why?
why?
Because at that moment, Barry needed a father figure, and Jefferson, out of all of our heroes, is the only father of all of our heroes.
That is true. That can make sense. I just like we got so many cool things in crossovers 5 years ago. Even like we have the Flash and Green Arrow team up to fight Hawkman. And that's only a 3-minute scene, but that's so fantastic. And you have so many different ones like that throughout the years. I just would have I just would have liked to see them team up. Now, who's to say we don't see him come back around? But I don't think so. Ultimately, uh, Barry's thrown through the Green Arrow Memorial, and
I was wondering, how do you feel about that?
I liked it. I liked it because Jefferson spoke about it the best way he could. Like he didn't pretend like he knew him, which was I found that refreshing. I honestly thought when he was starting talking, he's going to talk about how Oliver was all this stuff, and I'm just like, how does he even know him? But
Yeah.
no, he actually did it. Like I was like, bravo! Actually, you just saying like, okay, you told me this and this and this about him, so I'll let you know. I'll just say like what you told me, and he also put in his little uh, motto that he taught his kids.
I did like that. I
I
did
really
enjoy
like
that.
that. I really like that as well. That was a nice
I
little touch.
did like, it's cheese. It's a lot of cheese at the very end where he made Barry say it, but it is a teaching mechanism that he is very familiar with.
I also feel
That
like that
being
helped that
Jefferson.
I also feel like that helps Barry clear his mind a little
Yeah.
because his mind's racing, going at like 1,000 miles a minute, and uh, Despero figures out as well because he uses his powers to read from Cecile, and he just touches Cecile and makes her go to sleep, which is one thing I did enjoy. It's like,
Hmm.
ha, yeah, good job, Despero. Who says you're not a
Finally.
hero? Making her just stop complaining. And he goes to kill the Flash, but Black Lightning's there, and I do enjoy this. Black Lightning basically covering for Barry, telling Barry to get out of there. And Clay, we get what I kind of called a couple episodes ago. Uh, Barry sees everything has changed, and the person that has changed it is Sign. So, what do you think about this reveal at the end that Barry?
Oh,
He's
we forgot the C plot in this show.
is it Iris and
Iris and
oh
the Steel Force dude, which I knew they were bringing the Steel Force and the Strength Force into this show. Um, but I do not know those characters because I did not watch the season. Um, I found it very odd that they made Iris capable of seeing these particles.
Because of what happened last season of her being stuck in the Mirrorverse and her having to work for so long, for too long, and then she had to work with that guy to
Okay.
just get
Okay.
get stable again. So
Yeah.
this that is just a negative effect or a effect of
The idea that like Iris, the one thing I didn't like about her story is like I did enjoy the fact that she's like, okay, I'm going to, you know, really work with my husband and see that he is, not guilty of these crimes that Despero is claiming that he's guilty of, and I'm gonna see if my father is alive. She sees that one clip of him supposedly getting hit, and she's like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. He's dead. It's whatever. I give up. Like, I didn't like how quickly she went from being very uh like for helping Barry and all of that, and then immediately, oh, like, no, I'm done. Like, I didn't like that, but she of course encourages Barry, like, hey, you are innocent, go check this out. They use the still force to generate enough particles to get Barry into the future. We see Thawne um, in the future, but we also see a lot of our heroes, and they immediately look at Barry and say, "What the hell is he doing here?" And that's where we end it.
yeah.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about it because, for one, uh, Kavanaugh said that he was done with the show. Uh, and it may have just been a ploy for people to, be
I
like,
think it
oh,
was
this.
COVID that threw all the wrench in that for
Oh, really?
Kavanaugh. Yeah.
I think it might have been like a, hey, we plan on doing this, so say you're leaving, and then it'll be a big surprise when you come back. Like,
I think it was more he was planning on leaving and going to do other projects, but those other projects maybe
maybe
didn't materialize or
that's
start when he
true.
wanted it to.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And with this Clay, I need to know the reasoning behind why he's doing this, and it needs to be for me. And it don't need to be, but it would be very helpful for me if it was because of the events that happened in the season finale last season, where Flash basically emasculated Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and he's just doing it for revenge, I would be like, I'd enjoy it. Like I feel like that's what's going to happen, and I think I'm going to enjoy that part of this. Uh, and I maybe the characters, the Team Flash characters that did nothing for me this past episode, will be better fixed as villains or on this Team Flash. Because ultimately, I think that what's going to happen here is Reverse Flash Stein just takes Barry's life. Like he's going to be Flash, and he's going to make when they say what is he doing here, I'm just going to assume that he's going to make him Reverse Flash, and Thawne is going to carry out the horrific acts that Despero thinks Flash is carrying out in the future.
Yeah.
So I think they could tarnish the Flash's name and go back to being Reverse Flash. So that's what I think is the plan here. And now ultimately, I don't know Despero's allegiances, where they lie. Is he with uh, Thawne on this, or is he just a like stupid patsy, like a person that just got played?
Yeah. And I feel like there is a technical comic book about this. It's not coming to me on top of my head, but I do believe this is uh, loosely based off of a comic where Thawne um, pretty much pulls a Otto Octavius in Spider-Man and like takes over Barry's life. Um, and
I
so
think I remember that too.
I want to say it's loose. It's going to be loosely based off of it. Listeners, if you know
Oh, say
which,
loosely. Don't listen. We're not telling you to read any comic in
no,
accordance
I'm
with
just saying
CW shows because
if
that never pans out. I've
I
been
am
burned on
saying,
that 75 times.
I am saying, listeners, if that sounds familiar, let me know so that way I know I'm not going crazy or
R-
anything.
Remember how
Um,
much they pushed the actors pushed talking about the Flashpoint comic
well,
only to clue
yes,
it up in one
yes,
day, one episode.
but me and Joe also said Armageddon is technically a DC comic book event that is based off of time travel and things like that. And time travel is involved in this story, but it's definitely not the Armageddon story that was in the comics.
I can tell you what I'm looking forward to. Thawne's villain monologue to Barry about why he did this. When they're just the two of them. Oh my god!
All I
Tom
have to
Cavanaugh is going to chew up those
have
screens.
all I have to hear is Tom Cavanaugh tell Barry to run, and I'll be like, oh, it's season 1 again.
You know they're going to call that back. You just know it. You call it that. They're going to do it. But I did enjoy this. Thawne is easily the best villain in the series for me, anyway.
It is, but I just don't like that they keep coming back to it.
Yeah, well, because you know why? First of all, you got to reserve it. But they brought him back a couple years ago, and then made him disappear for all of till the finale, which was really frustrating. When you thought they were going to go one way with it, and it just made him go away for a little while. Like I said, I'm excited though. I feel like this might be like a jolt that the Flash needs, and I'm wondering if all of the heroes in the back are going to go against the Flash. Will we get to see that, or will it just be his regular Team Flash people? I thought I saw Batwoman amongst the people cheering.
Yeah, she's the one that said, "Why the hell is he here?"
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Also read the description for episode 5, and not going to come up with any theories, but Mia's coming back in time to save somebody. So I mean, who could that be? Who knows? Family member. Pretty sure it said. I don't know. Though.
Hines will always just be hoping.
Hey Clay, if shows gets bad enough, the person I'm talking about will not be named. Has already been on record as saying I was going to give up before, and then they backed the Brinks truck into me, and I financially was irresponsible to say no. So if these shows keep doing bad, Brinks truck might back up for restart revival. So obviously, I'm kidding, listeners. Only partially, but yeah, Clay, that's the final part. Well, third part. I just realized too, after doing it the schedule, you're not going to be joining me for the final part.
No, I'm not.
You
and I'm not obligated to watch it. I am not obligated to watch it.
You're going to finish that. You're going to.
That is right, guys. I've said it before.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and reiterate it here. Next week will be my last DCA of this year. I will be back, of course, in January of 2023.
2022.
2020. I wish it was 20. I'm taking a year off, people. No, it's 2022. You guys know how much I podcast, and I podcast a lot. I'm consuming content 100% of every single day, and I feel like I'm gonna go into a small hibernation for 2 weeks, and then I will be refreshed. And see, that's all it takes is I will do a whole year of podcasting, and then I rest for 2 weeks.
50 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Exactly. That's every company's dream, right? But I will be back January 2nd. I believe that will be the first Monday that I will be back. And then,
I'll
like
be
you said,
your thoughts on the podcast about the final episode. I'll be asking, sir. You can't pull a peacemaker.
You can't make me do it.
We suffer together, Clay. That's part of this podcast. Lately, anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say Modest Young Justice, but that's not a completely different show. So,
Exactly.
listeners, we'll be back next week to talk about part 4, maybe some more new news, and we'll be gearing up for a movie that's not DC.
Yeah, so of course you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. The link tree is in the bio. You can find all the shows that I host, that including this show, DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion Podcast, Weird Science Marvel Podcast, Ranger Alliance, and of course Star Wars Alliance.
And you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the network. Deep into Young Justice right now. Very enjoyable. The best DC content on TV right now. And I don't even think it's close. So, yeah, listeners, thanks for supporting us and thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
See you later.
Later, everyone.